We are back now with our political roundtable. Joining me, senior political reporter for Politico, Jonathan Martin, is here. NBC News chief foreign affairs correspondent Andrea Mitchell, former Democratic governor of New Mexico Bill Richardson, and the chair of the House Oversight and Government Reform Committee, Congressman Darrell Issa. Welcome to all of you. Chairman Issa, I want to start with you. The standoff between your committee and you personally with the Attorney General and now the White House over executive privilege. Bottom line, is there an agreement here that you can reach, or are you going to a full House contempt vote?
Well, there is a standoff, but it's not something we aim to have. We'd like to get the documents. They're very specific documents in many cases where we've been given under oath testimony about emails or memos or correspondence, and we'd like to have those. They don't involve executive privilege. It's pretty clear they're communications about post-February 4th cover-up by the Justice Department. You know, there was 10 months in which they said there were no gun walking, until they said, oh, yes, there was, and they retracted the February 4th letter to Senator Grassley. That's what we'd like to have. If we can have those documents, we can postpone or cancel the contempt.
Let's walk back. The underlying problem here is a policy where federal agents allowed gun walking. So they didn't arrest straw purchasers of illegal guns. They let them go back into Mexico. Ultimately, those guns got into circulation, were used to kill 2 federal agents. That was the underlying problem. That program, which started under the previous administration, has gone away. The documents...
No, it didn't.
It didn't go away.
There was something under the previous administration, a couple of programs, Wide Receiver was one that they mentioned a lot, started and stopped, canceled and found to be flawed under the Bush era. Never got to President Bush or the Attorney General.
Because there were indictments.
There were indictments that the U.S. Attorney, the Republican U.S. Attorney, said, we can't go forward. This is too flawed a tactic. It was shut down. Lanny Brewer, number 3.
Head of the criminal division.
Right, head of the criminal division, began those prosecutions over, and at the same time, Fast and Furious began.
But let's just be clear.
But there really was a recognition by the previous administration that this was the wrong thing to do when it was shut down. It was started back up in this administration. At this point, what we want to do is make sure that no administration starts or stops it again.
What the documents you're after are not about the program itself. They're about how the Justice Department responded to you, what they were saying about you and your committee and the Attorney General's testimony. If you got everything you wanted, what do you think it would prove?
You know, Brian Terry's mother wants the truth.
One of the agents killed.
Both the ranking member, Mr. Cummings, and myself promised to get the truth. We got a lie, we got a cover-up. But more importantly, 5 different times we had the key people involved in front of a deposition, private deposition with Republican and Democratic consuls, and the administration's handlers, lawyers, said, don't answer, don't answer, don't answer. We need answers. We can't have answers when people take the Fifth. We can't have answers when the Justice Department instructs witnesses not to answer questions. And more importantly, I think the American people understand, if the administration lies, the people who tell untruths to the administration and then cover it up for 10 months have to be held accountable. That's not executive privilege. You don't have the privilege to lie to the American people. What would you be able to prove?
I mean, what the White House is saying is this is a fishing expedition, it's to score political points, it's all theater. What can you prove if you get everything you want?
Well, first of all, what we know is on a couple of occasions, specific testimony about memos and emails that were sent. We're looking for those. Those are in our discovery. What we really want to know is, why did it take 10 months and what were they covering up? Because from this 10 months, we go backwards to find out the important thing. Who at Justice, up and down the chain, authorized this and allowed it to continue? Remember, Brian Terry was killed 18 months ago. We're not just talking about February 4th. We're talking about the 3 months after he was killed and the months leading up to it. The investigation has to, 1, hold people responsible, 2, make sure it doesn't happen again. And the second part is what we're all about.
Governor, do you think the White House ought to try to find some accommodation here?
I think both sides need to find an accommodation, but with all due respect to the congressman, this strikes me as political. The administration has provided 7,600 documents. There's been 11 congressional hearings. People want the Congress to deal with jobs. They want them to deal with the 1 million construction jobs that are going to expire unless they act. They're going to need to deal with close to 7 million student loans that are going to go up unless the Congress acts. I think the Attorney General has done a very good job. I mean, I commend him for what he's done on challenging the Arizona immigration law, on what he's done with a number of other inquiries, the voting rights suppression that is happening around the country. I think there's a little bit of political payback. I like the congressman.
But Bill, Nixon got us opened up China. He created the EPA and OSHA. There were a lot of good things that happened. In this case, the Attorney General has given 80,000 documents to the Inspector General, and of the 7,600 documents that we received, some of them we didn't ask for, they're not pertinent, and many of them are completely redacted, completely black pages.
But
let's understand, we want answers to specific questions.
I want to get in here because I want to talk about the politics of this as well. Jonathan, there is tension here among Republicans. Right. The chairman wants to move forward. There's a lot of other Republicans who say, hey, this is not the focus here we want in an election year.
Right. If you gave truth serum, I think, to the House GOP leadership, they would say they'd rather talk about jobs every single day from now until Election Day. But the fact is, in the House, there's a strong block of conservatives that have prompted Speaker Boehner to sort of bend here, and so he's having to pursue this issue. Look, I don't think they want to do this. I don't think Governor Romney certainly wants to pursue this. They want to focus entirely on jobs and the economy, on President Obama from now until Election Day. But it's a testament to the chairman and the conservative strength in the House GOP that this is happening.
Well, Jonathan, you know, the Tuesday group, the most moderate Republicans have come up to me time and time again about this, and it's not a fight we want. It's not what we want to be on. Yes, we want to be on jobs and the economy. The Data Act passed unanimously out of the House, and it's died in the Senate that would bring greater transparency and accountability and save money. We have those issues we're working on. But, you know, some fights you pick. This wasn't one. Some fights come to you, and you have to do what you have to do. In this case, you'll have all the Republicans, moderate and conservatives, saying we don't want to do this, but we will do it. And you'll have a lot of Democrats voting with us.
Andrea Mitchell, where are we on this?
Well, what you've heard from the chairman here, from Chairman Issa, is that Nixon did some things that were good. I mean, that is the analogy. And by invoking executive privilege, the White House has now bought into this sort of symbolic confrontation, this constitutional confrontation that the White House did not initially want, but they think that they can win because, as Governor Richardson said, they think that people care more about the economy. It is a distraction. It is writ large in Washington, according to most people. But I think that this thing is going to play out. You're going to have this vote on the House floor, and the irony is, of course, that it will be up to the Justice Department to whether or not to prosecute. This is going to go to the courts. I think that Chairman Issa would agree with that. It's going to go to the courts, and you're not going to have a resolution before the election.